Okay, so in this industry, we have the rare luxury of getting to do what we love for a living, and sometimes getting to do it with people that we come to love.
Imagine growing up in a quiet suburban town, dreaming of the bright lights of Hollywood while the world barely notices you. This was John Travolta's early life, a mix of ordinary struggles and extraordinary ambition. Born on February 18, 1954, in Englewood, New Jersey, John was the youngest of three siblings in a tight-knit Italian-American family. His father, Salvatore Travolta, was a semi-professional football player turned tire salesman, while his mother, Helen, worked as an actress and singer. You might think being raised by a performer would make the path to fame easy, but for John it was anything but. Even as a child, John felt a restless energy. He was drawn to music, dance, and performance, spending hours mimicking Elvis Presley and watching classic films. His teenage years were marked by curiosity and rebellion, a blend of street-smart toughness and a budding artistic flair. He took up acting classes, studied ballet and tap, and experimented with singing, all while navigating the challenges of adolescence in a competitive world. His mother encouraged him, often taking him to auditions and performances, while his father pushed for a more practical path. That tension would fuel the drive that defined his career. What many don't know is that before the fame, John worked odd jobs to support his passion. He performed in small local theater productions and even danced at nightclubs, where he honed the moves that would later become iconic on the big screen. Friends remember him as fiercely determined, often practicing late into the night, obsessed with perfecting his craft. It was this combination of discipline and natural talent that caught the attention of agents and casting directors, even when the world wasn't watching yet. But life in New Jersey wasn't all glamour. John faced personal struggles, moments of self-doubt, rejection, and the constant pressure to stand out. He witnessed how easily talent could be overlooked and how fleeting opportunity could be. These early experiences didn't break him. They shaped him. Every no pushed him harder. Every small success fueled the next leap. It's in these streets and studios of his youth that the foundation for his Hollywood dreams was built. By his late teens, John knew he had to make a choice: settle into a conventional life or take the risk and pursue the uncertain path of show business. He packed up his ambition, left the familiar streets of Englewood behind, and stepped into the larger world of auditions, dance studios, and music clubs. Little did anyone know, this determined young man was on the brink of becoming one of the most recognizable faces in Hollywood. A star whose journey would be filled with glamour, controversy, and resilience. And here's a secret few know: before Welcome Back, Kotter, and Saturday Night Fever, John almost gave up. He was days away from walking away from acting entirely. But fate had other plans. You won't believe how close John Travolta came to fading into obscurity before Hollywood ever knew his name. After leaving New Jersey, he arrived in New York with little more than a suitcase and relentless determination. He took acting classes, worked odd jobs, and danced in clubs, sometimes performing for empty rooms. It was a grind few would survive, yet John's energy was unstoppable. Every rejection only sharpened his resolve. His first breakthrough came with television. In 1975, John landed the role that would change everything: Vinnie Barbarino on Welcome Back, Kotter. The part was meant for a typical cool kid, but John brought a charisma and physicality that made Vinnie unforgettable. Suddenly, the shy, hard-working boy from Englewood became a household name. Teenagers across America were memorizing his every line, copying his moves, and dreaming of the effortless confidence he exuded. But TV fame was just the beginning. Hollywood saw the potential for something bigger: a movie star with undeniable charm and a dancer's finesse. That opportunity came in 1977 with Saturday Night Fever, a film that would cement Travolta's place in cinematic history. He wasn't just acting, he was transforming. John's portrayal of Tony Manero, a Brooklyn teenager escaping the monotony of life through disco, captured the energy of a generation. And the dance scenes? Legendary. Audiences couldn't take their eyes off him. The world suddenly knew John Travolta, and they couldn't get enough. Behind the glitz, however, the journey was far from easy. Travolta faced immense pressure to maintain his image, balance his passion with public expectation, and navigate Hollywood's ruthless politics. Offers came flooding in, but not all were right for him. Some roles tried to typecast him as just a dancer, while others were outright disasters waiting to happen. He learned early that fame was as much about choices as talent. It wasn't just acting that set John apart. It was his work ethic. He trained relentlessly for each role, studied movement, and immersed himself in character. He didn't rely on stunt doubles or tricks for authenticity. This dedication caught the attention of producers and directors, and soon he was a rising star in both drama and action films. But perhaps the most shocking fact? John was still only in his early 20s during this meteoric rise. Fame could have consumed him, yet he remained grounded, carrying the lessons from his New Jersey upbringing. Family, discipline, and persistence kept him focused. By the late 1970s, Travolta wasn't just an actor, he was a phenomenon. Disco balls, dance floors, and Hollywood cameras all turned toward him. And while the world celebrated, John knew that the real test was still ahead. Could he survive the highs and lows of Hollywood, reinvent himself, and prove he was more than a fad? The answer would define his career for decades to come. Imagine being at the peak of fame and still having to prove yourself. That was John Travolta's life in the 1980s and beyond. After the whirlwind success of Saturday Night Fever and Grease, many actors would rest on their laurels. Not John. He wanted more than just a moment of glory. He wanted a career that could defy trends, reinvent itself, and endure. Following his early hits, Travolta faced Hollywood's cruel cycle: typecasting and declining offers. Roles weren't always flattering, and box office flops threatened to undo years of success. Yet, in these challenging moments, John demonstrated a rare resilience. He didn't just wait for the right role. He searched for it, studied it, and transformed himself for it. The 1990s brought a shocking career revival. Enter Pulp Fiction. Director Quentin Tarantino saw potential in John that the world had forgotten. As Vincent Vega, Travolta delivered a performance that stunned audiences and critics alike. His calm intensity, impeccable timing, and subtle humor reminded everyone why he had become a star in the first place. Suddenly, the actor who many had written off was back, and in style. This role earned him an Academy Award nomination, proving that Hollywood had not seen the last of him. Travolta didn't stop there. Action, drama, comedy. He embraced every genre with the same dedication. Films like Face/Off, Swordfish, and the Battlefield Earth controversy showed his willingness to take risks, even if they divided critics. But it was his discipline and commitment to the craft that set him apart. Known for doing many of his own stunts, maintaining intense physical training, and mastering choreography, John became synonymous with authenticity on screen. Fans knew what they were getting. An actor fully invested, whether dancing under disco lights or facing life-or-death action sequences. Behind the scenes, his approach was just as meticulous. Travolta studied scripts line by line, experimented with dialogue delivery, and collaborated with directors and co-stars to elevate every scene. His attention to detail, combined with a natural charisma, created moments that lingered in pop culture memory. Here's something few realize: Travolta's career wasn't just about surviving Hollywood. It was about reinvention. From teen heartthrob to seasoned action star, to a dramatic comeback icon, he continuously challenged himself. He showed the world that longevity in show business isn't about luck. It's about vision, effort, and timing. And perhaps the most surprising part? Even after decades, Travolta still exudes a magnetic energy. Audiences watching him now can feel the same charm, intensity, and dedication that made him a household name in the 1970s. The lessons from his career are clear: resilience, reinvention, and an unyielding drive can turn setbacks into some of the most iconic moments in film history. You might think that John Travolta's life off camera is all glitz and glamour, but the truth is far more complex, and at times, deeply private. Despite decades in Hollywood, he has always guarded his personal world fiercely, balancing fame with family, faith, and quiet pursuits. John married Kelly Preston in 1991, and together they built a life focused on family. Their love story, spanning decades, was filled with highs, challenges, and tragedy. The couple shared 3 children, and John often spoke about how fatherhood gave him a sense of grounding no Hollywood accolade could match. Behind the smiles and red carpet appearances, he was a devoted husband and father, a man striving to create normalcy amid extraordinary fame. But fame comes at a price. Travolta has faced personal loss and public scrutiny that would challenge anyone. The sudden passing of his son Jet in 2009 was a heartbreak that shook him to his core. Yet even in unimaginable grief, John maintained composure in public, showing resilience and strength that inspired many. It's a reminder that behind the cinematic hero lies a human being navigating life's toughest battles. Outside family, John has always pursued his passions with the same intensity he brings to acting. A licensed pilot, he owns several aircraft and often flies himself across the country. Aviation isn't just a hobby. It's a sanctuary, a place where he can escape the relentless demands of Hollywood. He also loves music, dancing, and collecting memorabilia, interests that tie back to the very roots of his career. Privacy is key to his personal strategy. Unlike many celebrities, John rarely indulges in social media drama. He keeps interviews focused on work or charitable projects, steering clear of gossip and controversy. It's this careful curation of his personal image that allows him to remain a respected figure in Hollywood, despite decades in the public eye. And here's a surprising fact. Even at 71, John Travolta continues to take on roles that challenge him physically and emotionally. He refuses to let age define him, proving that passion and determination aren't bound by time. Audiences still see him performing daring stunts, captivating on screen, and embodying characters with depth, a testament to a lifetime dedicated to craft and resilience. Ultimately, John Travolta's story is not just about fame, iconic roles, or dance floors lit with disco lights. It's about endurance, reinvention, and the courage to live authentically. From the streets of New Jersey to the global stage, he has faced rejection, tragedy, and relentless scrutiny. Yet he remains unshakable, a man who carved his path on his own terms. The truth, finally revealed at 71, isn't a scandal or a shocking secret. It's something far more powerful. The realization that John Travolta has spent a lifetime defining himself, not by Hollywood, not by critics, but by his passion, resilience, and relentless pursuit of excellence.